Looks like one of our development parts didn't fare too well in testing. I've put it on hold for now. You can restart work from the laptop. We're going to have to go back now and make some adjustments in order to get the final numbers looking more like we were expecting from the simulation.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 Career Mode, episode number 86 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 5, and we start things off, unfortunately, with a development failure on the car. The front downforce we were going to add for the Monaco Grand Prix has failed us, so we're going to have to spend some extra resource points to try and fix that for next race, which still will come in handy. The Canadian Grand Prix, turn-in's very crucial, that Grand Prix, so that will come in handy for sure, but I would have really preferred it also for Monaco. As I said back when we bought the purchase, the fact it was going to come at the Monaco Grand Prix was really a bonus factor for us, for me getting it when I did. Obviously, the Force India car compared to the Red Bull and even the Renault, maybe, it's lacking mostly in aerodynamics and chassis department. Although, to be fair, if you look at how the first 5 races have gone, the car's felt pretty decent and has gone pretty decent in the corner, especially last time out at the Spanish Grand Prix. If you did miss that episode, by the way, be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this one. Definitely my most intense race on this game so far, so definitely worth watching the Spanish Grand Prix one. All in all, discounting the error we made at that Grand Prix, a fabulous Grand Prix in terms of the pace we showed and just how, connected to the car I was. And that's what I kind of needed also going into the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, Monaco, it's all about the driver, really. You make the difference around there, flirting with the barriers, getting close to the wall as you can, and trying to, as they kind of always say in real life in the commentary, dialing into the circuit, really, as you go on through the Grand Prix. So, practice was pretty crucial, going through all those practice programs and getting as many points as we can. Of course, now we have to earn back enough points to just repurchase the front downforce upgrade before we even get onto a brand new upgrade. So it's always a little bit annoying being on the back foot in terms of that, but we can't really do too much, so our card's already been dealt. So we just go through into Q1 then, all nice and sunny at the moment on Saturday. I think this, it's going to be the same thing on Sunday, apart from maybe a chance of a little sprinkle of rain at the end of the race. We'll have to see when we get there, but we're going to cross the line then for our Q1 lap time. Obviously just taking it a bit easier in Q1. We get through in P11, so I'm not too fussed about that. Perez going a little bit faster, showing some pace in P6. Ricciardo going very strongly indeed in the Red Bull car, but Vettel very close indeed. And of course, the Ferrari car should go pretty damn well. They have done it every single season. But the Renault's, or individual Renault, I should say, of Nico Hülkenberg going well compared to his teammate Palmer, being 1/10 off Ricciardo, going very well. And again, Mercedes at the moment not really showing too much of amazing pace, just like they have done in the first 5 episodes of this season. So we move on into Sector 3 then with a huge mistake though into Sector 3, and that's both tyres off. Half the front wing off on the right-hand side, and that is going to be us out of qualifying 2. A huge mistake to make on the left-hand side there. Misjudge it. I mean, naturally, when you go into that flat-out left-hander, you're pretty much lifting off a tad, going down maybe 1 gear down to 4th or 5th, depending on how much fuel you've got in the car. 5th gear in qualifying when you're low fuel, you basically aim for the barrier, but you're not actually looking to hit it. You're meant to kind of just miss it a tad, scrape it, basically, and go through the apex. But just a little bit of misjudgment like that, and we're out of Q2, so absolute disaster kind of, and calamity there for me at Monaco. And that means, though, we do have our opportunity to be a little bit cheeky here. So we're going to have to start P15 at least, being out of Q2 then. So I thought I may as well take an engine penalty. And so I took the opportunity to take all my 5th column engines. So 6th episode into this season, we've already got a nice 5th stack of engine columns to use basically for the rest of the season. So we're going to be starting from the back on the Monaco Grand Prix, which sounds like a nightmare, but in reality, we're only, 5 places back from where we would have been. Those 5 places include 2 Saubers and 2 McLarens. It's not going to be too much of an issue. The real issue will be the cars that were going to be ahead of us anyway. The likes of my teammate, the Renaults, the Toro Rossos, but, potentially, and then obviously the rest of them when we get up there. So it's going to be a bit of a long haul Monaco Grand Prix now from the back of the grid. But, we've had worse, and I think we've come back from worse. So, I'm relishing the challenge. So let's just go ahead to the full grid then, and then see what we can do in what is going to, inevitably be now a very exciting Monaco Grand Prix for us.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen, and Hülkenberg, Bottas, Perez, Kvyat, and Jolyon Palmer, Massa, Grosjean, Carlos Sainz, and Magnussen, Alonso, Stroll, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Marcus Ericsson. Wehrlein and a Force India rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, So let's go down to the track.
So today's task then is to navigate the Monaco Grand Prix from last place on the grid in this Force India. Easier said than done every single time, but we're going to look at the strategy then. One stop, ultra soft to the super soft. So we are going to go on the ultra soft, and we're going to try and be as punchy as we can in the opening laps and try and close up on what hopefully will be points paying positions as fast as we can. And I don't want to lag behind on super softs, filling up on a tad bit of fuel, but not too much because it's Monaco. We don't need to use so much rich mix through the race, but we're ready to go from P20 then on the grid as we go to 5 red lights for the duel in the Formula 1 calendar. The Monaco Grand Prix is underway, and we're going to try and kind of basically take it nice and easy in turn 1. You can see had a good start, but kind of take it a little bit easy, lift off the throttle, go down the inside of 2 Sauber cars and one of the McLarens of Stoffel Vandoorne up into P15 already. So 5 places gained. We're already back to where we were before the engine penalty. So that is enough said in terms of our plan of taking that 5th column. And so now we're trying around the outside of Fernando Alonso, struggling in that McLaren as always now in the 5th season in the F1 2017 career mode. Down his inside of Mirabeau. It's going to be close, but he's going to keep it in there, and he's actually barged his way past. A little tap there on the left-hand side, and he's also been cheeky enough to send it down the inside of Romain Grosjean. He's actually managed to make it before the yellow flags come out. So Alonso showing that he's still a true fighter and makes 2 places gained instead of 1 place lost there. And so we have to stick behind. We've actually lost time as I had to hold up behind Grosjean, who got tapped into the wall. So already back down to P15, and Alonso defending from Grosjean very aggressively, and Grosjean cuts the corner somewhat on the first part of the chicane, goes slowly, and we get it as close as we can to the wall there, weaving around, trying to make a move to the left hand side. Doesn't work out, so as we go through to the swim pool section, gonna have to close up right up to his gearbox. We try a little bit to the inside, lock up though. Ultimately we don't stick our nose in there, but that puts Grosjean off, and he's gone wide and deep, so that allows us to go to the outside through Raskas then towards the final corner. A little bit of oversteers. My teammate is in the pit lane, so Sergio Perez has issues in the opening lap of this Grand Prix, and we've swung it down the inside of Grosjean, then did a lovely little switchback move on him, and he didn't even see it coming. And into lap 2 then we're up into P13. As I just said, Perez has made an early pit stop unfortunately, so my teammate has not had the best fortunes. I pretty much had the opposite. I've already kind of basically gained back what I might have had, but now we move on to lap number 2, chasing after Fernando Alonso then for the 2nd time now in this Grand Prix. We tried to get him on lap 1, didn't work out, and he's been good enough to keep it ahead of us up until lap 3, but I'm going to change that now as we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, going very well indeed. Of course though, I had to catch up to Alonso on lap 2, so I got a lot of clean air compared to the top guys ahead of me, and so we're able to go really quite well at the moment in terms of pace on the delta time. But we swing it again in the same exact place as on lap 1, but this time you can see we're much further ahead, but Alonso equally is still keeping his nose in there. So in the exact same place, Alonso's tried his hardest, but this time crucially into Mirabeau, we get it back onto the racing line, go a little bit left before we turn to that right-hander, lock up on the right front tyre, but that's fine, and we're up into P12 now. So finally dispatched of the man who just keeps on fighting in that very poor McLaren Honda. And so now we close up to Carlos Sainz and a train of his teammate as well, and Felipe Massa. We sent it to the inside of Raskas in that textbook trademark move that I love to do at the Monaco Grand Prix. And that one was quite seamless actually, because it was quite a slow one compared to maybe some of my overtakes I made in that same corner in seasons gone by, because there was an initial brake phase, and then I saw Sainz was going a little bit wide, so then I just kind of squirted the throttle to the inside, the apex of Raskas, and got that down the inside. So we're up into P11 then, and so we can chase after the Brazilian in the Williams car, who's getting held up quite a bit there by Dankavia. You can see, look at the gap between the kind of top pack then and this pack led by Kafia. He's got some horrible pace at the moment. He's holding myself up, Massa up for sure, probably even his teammate as well. So I need to try and dispatch these guys as fast as I can. Ultimately, this is where maybe the race is won and lost in terms of getting good points today. We sent it to the inside of Felipe Massa, and that puts him off somewhat. And so through the tunnel then you can see we're going to tuck up right behind his slipstream, and as we exit the tunnel, maybe look to make a move to the inside potentially. We try to the outside, fake to the right, go to the left, lunge it inside, lock up on the left tyre, and we give Massa all the room in the world. You saw how wide we went on the left hand in that first part of the chicane to make sure we gave Felipe the room. We did so, and we're able to get him on the exit fair and square, and then swing through that lovely, lovely shot of the chicane. I love that every single time. That will never get old, that lovely shot of Monaco through there. Just the sense of speed you get on that camera angle is just amazing. So now we close up to the Russian Dacia Fiat, the second Toro Rosso of the afternoon, the one going very slowly indeed, and through the final corner trying to get this car straightened up as fast as possible. Open DRS, rich mix going, and here we go to the inside. Then we've got the straight line speed to the inside, late as brake as we can, little lock up on the left, little nudge on the barrier, flirting with the barriers indeed like you do around Monaco, and we're up into P9 then. So we are into some good points. And so now as we go through the laps then, now it's a case of just going as hard as we can. Obviously, I mentioned there was a huge gap between the pack I was in due to Kvyat holding us all up and then the top pack. So now you can see in clean air, setting a fast lap of the Grand Prix, whereas everyone else ahead of me, P8 and upwards, they're all fighting each other. And actually you can see now as we go through the laps onto lap 14, we're up into P6 as we've got the first few people making their pit stops. Probably the two stoppers of this afternoon, you would say. And as we go through that final corner, you may have just seen that was one of the Renault cars of Palmer. He was the next car along we were trying to chase down, and we just about maybe saw him a few car lengths ahead of us. So we did some really decent work, just getting our head down, clean track ahead of us, pushing as hard as we could from lap 9 to lap 14 to try and close out that gap. And so now as we come into the pit lane, it's a case of now strapping on our one and only change of the afternoon in terms of tyres, the super soft tyres, and now we'll just kind of see where we come out, and hopefully it's going to be somewhat close to Jolyon Palmer, because that was the tail end of the top 8 pack, I believe it was. I think top 8, because we were in P9 fair and square after we overtook the two Toro Rossos and the Williams. So here we go. There was a flash of yellow, I think that was. So I definitely think that was Jolyon Palmer, and there's literally no one behind me. So we've got another bit of a lovely clean air, really, just to push as hard as we can. And there indeed he is, Jolyon Palmer P8, and we're in P9. So it takes us 6 laps then on to lap 20 to catch up to Palmer. So just again, nothing really happened apart from me just pushing as hard as I could. And so now here's maybe where the action comes in as we go on towards lap 21. A little bit of an issue on the exit of the last corner, going with the curbing on the left, so it didn't get the best run. And so we have to wait and be patient as we enter the swing pool section now. And maybe we can size up a move in Raskas to the inside. Here we go, lock up on the right tyre quite badly, but we skate through that second phase of Raskas into the final corner, leave Palmer the room on the entry of that corner, and we do get it, and we're up into P8. So 2 lovely little moves now in this race booked off there at Raskas. And now we can maybe try and chase after Valtteri Bottas, who appears to be struggling in that Mercedes as ever. Obviously, he was the man who went out the Grand Prix with an engine failure, unfortunately, last race, and it looks like his luck's not getting too much better. He's not got too much pace to be anywhere near any other cars. And so now we go through onto lap 23, and we've got one Lewis Hamilton coming out of the pit lane then on the right hand side. We're going to go through turn 1 and just about make this overtake work. We go side by side momentarily as Lewis just about gets through the exit of the pit lane and the white painted line and is able to try and make a move on us, but we just nip ahead, and so we're up into P7. So Hamilton, one of the guys I suspect on the 2 stop, so that's how he's fallen behind us on lap 23. I think Bottas, I think he's on a 1 stop, so me and him are going to be making some more overtakes potentially. Now we've got another car in the pit lane, you can see, and it is going to be a Renault of Nico Hulkenberg then, so we're up into P6 now. So this is, you know, we're not going to make a pit stop now, so these guys have to overtake us fair and square if they do want to make this pass. So we're already up into what will be a P6 in this race if it ends like this, but we're going to try and make it maybe P5. Again, having a look at Valtteri Bottas in the same place we did to Romain Grosjean earlier on lap 1, having a little look in the swing pool section, doesn't work out, then we just have to stick through Raskas the last corner, getting as tight as we can to that final apex there, pretty much kiss the barrier, I think. And now we open the DRS, rich mix going, and we just don't have enough straight line speed at the moment. There's yellow flags though into turn 1 as Sauber is in the wall, and with the yellow flags, Bottas is slowed down. We're right up his gearbox, but then the green flag goes. We can try and overtake him now, we can, but Bottas goes wide into the next left hand, and we've tapped the wall, and that is a save and a half from us, going full opposite lock in a left hand corner, which is usually pretty damn fast in 4th gear, and we just managed to keep our nose out the barriers. We tried to make a little cheeky pass as soon as the green flag went. Bottas, I don't know if he made a mistake or that was a defensive bit of driving for him. He moved right across the track on the right hand side, and we're sent into the wall somewhat. And now the virtual safety car has been called out now, I'm suspecting, for that Sauber incident. So now as a virtual safety car ends then, I actually do quite horribly on the restart there. You can see I was in 7th gear for far too long through the final corner, trying to lift and coast as much as I could, still in lead mix. So it took me a little bit of a lag. There was a bit of a lag moment, me trying to engage back into race mode basically. So I've lost a bit of time then to Bottas. So I guess you could say kind of evened out with the time I gained on Bottas under the yellow flags when we went through turn 1 previously on lap 26. And now we're right up behind Ericsson. Again, you can see how hard I'm pushing now, going down the inside of Ericsson straight away. But again, over that crest and bump, full opposite lock in a straight line to save the car and keep it from spinning. I'm really pushing as hard as I can to catch this Mercedes car, but after the virtual safety car came in, I believe it was one of the Red Bull cars that came into the pit lane, so we're up into P5 now, and we've not even overtaken Bottas, and now we have done, as Bottas is now in the pit lane, so Bottas was also making a 2-stop here, so we're up into P3 of the Monaco Grand Prix, and we're going to the end, remember, down the inside of Kevin Magnussen going slowly, a lapped car, and so we're on the podium right now, from last place on the grid at the Monaco Grand Prix. This has been an absolutely amazing race. I mean, I said last time was the most intense race I've had. This has definitely been the most chaotic, I think, fun race I've had in terms of all-out action, in terms of pushing flat out, and what we managed to achieve here around Monaco to go from last to P3 in a Force India car. Obviously, it's a pretty strong Force India car at the moment. We've done plenty of upgrades this season, and the team have worked hard on it, but still, to say, you know, Force India haven't had much success, you know, it's great. But now we look at a replay now of what happened with the Red Bull car and the Sauber. So it was Verstappen who basically locked up, it looked like, got a bit of contact with the Sauber, and they both kind of were at fault, I think, for that incident, and they go into the wall. And because of that, that was actually Verstappen was the Red Bull that pit right under the kind of yellow flag situation. But there is Ricciardo then pitting as well, and I believe this was at the end of the virtual safety car, whereas this is Raikkonen and then Vettel leading the way in a Ferrari 1-2. So both Red Bull cars going down the order, one of them due to some front wing damage, and the other one being Ricciardo, probably I'm just guessing a planned 2 stop there for this afternoon. So we move through then lap 31, and we're just trying to do the best we can to get away from Jolyon Palmer, is it now, in P4. So Palmer's doing really well in this Grand Prix as well, to be in a great P4 for himself, of course, ahead of his teammate who was looking a lot stronger. But all the 2-stoppers have really lost out this afternoon. But hang on, wait a second, that was a flash of red. I think that's Kimi Raikkonen. Yes, it is Raikkonen. Oh, he's getting held up by one of the Williams cars. I think it's Felipe Massa maybe, or Stroll. No, yes, it's Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's holding up Raikkonen massively here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Has he got some damage potentially, Lance Stroll? I think he does. Blue flags either way. Unfortunately, though, this is one of the worst places to let a car through, Lance. We have to go around the outside of him in the Monaco tunnel to make that pass under blue flags. He's got no front wing then, so no wonder he was holding up Raikkonen, trying to go around the lap. Without a front wing's not going to be a very good way to navigate everything, and Raikkonen has been held up majorly. I wonder, I'm probably guessing Raikkonen made a second pit stop and then just got held up by Lance, because I think, you know, before the pit stop, I think he must have been ages away, but that's what happened then. Looks like Lance got spun round by Bottas trying to send it to the inside. Ricciardo got caught up in that as well, and then, oh, big domino effect, and that's Hamilton with some front wing damage. Hulkenberg's got his entire front wing off, and then the Haas has also got damage. So Lance Stroll and Bottas have pretty much caused carnage there. Huge domino effect of 3-4 cars affected, and so that's really bad for Hulkenberg, and I'm guessing that's why maybe Hulkenberg was in the pits then, perhaps, with that front wing damage. And so we catch up to Raikkonen then, and we're back on our POV, lap 35 out to lap 39, and we come up to another lapped car of Fernando Alonso. This time, though, Alonso doesn't have any damage, but he's nonetheless getting in the way of Raikkonen somewhat, his old teammate from the Ferrari days. And again, he lets Raikkonen through in the tunnel. This time round, we have to wait till the brake zone after the tunnel, down the crest as we enter the chicane, very late on the brake to try and make that move. So Alonso not wanting to give up any time he's got here around the circuit. But ultimately, though, as we go through to the end of lap 36, you can see the tyre wear I've got on my rear tyres, and you can see just the lack of traction through that final corner and how much Raikkonen is bolting away from me then through the first corner then on lap 37, locking up, double lock up, keeping out the barriers, but Raikkonen gains even more time. So ultimately, I can't manage to get P2. So for a brief few laps, my heart was pounding to thinking we could maybe get P2, but no, wasn't to be. But I weave around with joy because it is P3 from P20 at the Monaco Grand Prix. That is pretty much a win in my book. So it's another P3. We got P3 at the Spanish Grand Prix, P3 here, but I think this one was probably even more impressive in terms of coming back from last place. But both races equally very, very enjoyable. I must say, in the 5th season of career mode, I think at the moment I'm having the most fun I've ever had in this Force India car. I'm actually really, really happy with this choice because it's a fun car to drive. Very smooth on traction. Not too pointy in the front end, you know, because it's lacking some downforce, but it makes for a very enjoyable car to drive. And once you get hooked up into it, you basically get tunnel vision with this car and you just go flat out and just try and push as hard as you can. And this race was a lot of fun. Up to P3, sharing their champagne with Raikkonen and Vettel. Absolutely awesome. But the Ferrari cars now, from what looked to be a very good start for Red Bull, the Ferraris, once again, the guys on paper coming back into this with a 1-2, and they're going to be extending that lead in the Constructors. But we get up into first place then on the Drivers' World Championship due to Max Verstappen going quite badly then. So, as I said though, right at the start of this season, you know, you can't really count what's happening at the moment. I think we have to wait till around round 10 around 11 really to see where the dust still settling in terms of who's consistent, who's not. But at the moment, it's looking pretty damn good. And as a team, we're performing pretty well. Obviously, Perez had a pretty unlucky day today, having had an issue on lap 1. So unfortunate for him. And so the constructors-wise, we can only keep our P2 that we got last time out over Red Bull Racing. But to say that we've come to the team and straight away had an impact of taking them to P2 in the constructors, and pretty much you got the top 5 constructors, Ferrari, Force India, Red Bull, Renault and Mercedes, all scrapping away on the same piece of tarmac for the first 6 races. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it as well. And if you have done, and you've enjoyed this race, smash that like button. Unfortunately, we're unable to make any upgrades after we purchase that, obviously, repair on the front downforce. So we have to wait till next episode to maybe make another purchase of an R&D upgrade. But guys, let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.